Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 15th of November 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. I hope you can all hear me well, guys. We're testing out a new system here, so hopefully the videos are going to run smoother, a little bit smoother this time. So, yep, as I said, as always, before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, or first the disclaimer, as always, guys. The content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, guys, so I hope you can all hear me well. Like I said, we are testing a new system here, but as always, before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD research page, which we update on a daily basis. And I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves, guys, so feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the tab research here and we'll take you to our page. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. Now, looking at this one, this is what I was talking about this morning, basically. So initially, yes, we did have a nice push higher. The index traveled, almost managed to reach this little short-term downside resistance line, but then got hit, and we saw the index kind of sliding lower, dropping to the 7,250 zone. But this is where the area kind of played its role of a nice support. So from which the index kind of retraced back to the upside. The only thing is that given the sharp kind of fall, there is a chance for this one to drift lower. But as I said, as I've mentioned previously, we need to see a nice good drop, a clear drop below the 7,250 zone before we could examine further declines. Also, ideally, we would like to see maybe a daily close below this level before we could start considering lower areas. But given that it already kind of tested this area but quickly retraced back to the upside, it just proves how important this level here is, or should I say this area is. So in a way, we're going to continue monitoring this one. If you can look at this 4-hour chart right now, you can see that the price is below its 200 EMA here, so in a way, kind of there is a lot of possibility, or there is a possibility for this one to drift lower again. But this time again, we'll keep an eye on this 7,250 zone. If we get another drop below this, then yep, we are aiming for slightly lower levels, maybe something around here near the 7,140 level, which, as you can see, previously acted as a fantastic area of support here back on the 9th of October and also around the 21st of October as well. So let's keep an eye on this one, guys. With the upside, well, we'll still probably keep an eye on the same level, the same barrier. I talked about this one recently as well, and that's the 7,350, because this way, if we get a push above this level here, this would also place the price above this little short-term tentative downside line, and yep, more buyers could be joining in here, and potentially we could then target the 7,441 zone. So again, it seems that the upside could be slightly off the table right now, but in order to get comfortable with lower levels, we would need to see another drop below the 7,250 zone. So let's keep an eye on that one. Dow Jones. Now, I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, and yesterday it had a nice run here to the upside, but it also managed to create a new all-time high near the 27,806 zone. And looking at the cash index right now, we can see that the index is already trading above this level here, above this 27,806. So in a way, we'll have ourselves a nice opening gap here to the upside, basically forming a new opening all-time high here. And this will be quite interesting to see if this, let's say, the index decides to retrace a little bit lower, if it can stay above the 27,800 zone. If it cannot, and if it starts dropping to the downside here again, well, I mean, we still, or should I say, the bulls still have an option here to join in near this upside line. And if this upside line holds, this upside line, by the way, is taken from the low of the 3rd of October. If this upside line holds, then yep, we could see another round of buying later on. And let me just quickly put an arrow here for our future reference. Now, again, for now, guys, again, like I said, the index is trading, or should I say the cash index is trading above the 27,806 zone. Let's see if it can stay here, or if it can actually travel further north. Of course, everyone is speculating now about the 28,000 level. So of course, that would be quite interesting to see if it actually reaches that level. But the question here is, will this be today, or is this still something for maybe later on? So again, for now, we're not gonna speculate on this one too much. We'll see how the index is going to open. If it remains above this 27,806 territory, then yep, we will be a little bit more comfortable with higher levels. If it starts dropping below this level, below the 27,806, then we will aim for a little bit of a correction here to the downside, because again, as long as it remains above this upside line, any pullback here could be seen as a temporary correction. But if this index starts dropping below the 27,560 zone here now, and that's, by the way, the high of the 5th of November. Now, this is where probably a few bears could start getting a little bit more excited, because then we could see this one drifting towards the 27,400 territory, or even going a little bit further down. But again, for now, it seems that everything's kind of leaning more towards the upside. The only thing is, again, we'll be very careful with the upside, because we are hitting new all-time highs. So, but again, as I said, there's a lot of speculation going around the 28,000 level. But also, let's not forget that if there's a lot of people talking about it, then sometimes it doesn't happen, and the market does like to do it the opposite way. But again, for now, that's just some speculation here for you guys. Jumping into another index, and that's DXY. So I talked about this one recently, and basically what I was saying, that if we get a push above this, or should I say, if we get a close above this 98.42 zone, then there is a possibility the US dollar index could drift further north. But as you can see, this barrier here acted as a fantastic area of resistance, and now the index is drifting lower. Yes, everything's kind of looking a little not very good here for DXY, but we will start considering lower areas if we see a drop below the 98 zone right here. So if we do get a drop below this level, then we will consider further declines. For now, we're going to remain neutral. Yes, it is drifting lower, but it might get us a nice hold up around here near this 98 zone. If it does, we could see this one rebounding and maybe pushing back to the upside. But if this 98 zone fails, then yep, we will target slightly lower areas. But let's wait for a nice close below this 98 zone, ideally on a daily chart. If we do get something like that, then yep, we will, like I said, aim for lower areas. AUDJPY, so jumping into a few pairs now very quickly here. So we can see that the pair is kind of stuck between these two lines, and after hitting the this kind of short term, let me just double check that very quickly. So yeah, it's still a short term tentative, or should I say no longer actually a tentative. It's the short term upside support line taken from the low of the 25th of August, sorry, 25th of August, that's correct. And we can see that AUDJPY managed to rebound from this line and is now making its way higher. The only thing is that we do have another line here, which is this one is a downside, a short-term downside one. which in a way could keep the rate lower. And if it does that, then we could see this one reversing back to the downside here and basically kind of moving inside, or should I say, coiling up here a little bit in between these two lines. But that's in the scenario if this downside line holds. But if this downside line fails to hold, and we see the rate climbing above the 74.18 mark. Now this is where probably more buyers could start looking at some higher levels, because this way not only that this downside line would be broken, but it would also get above one of its important resistance levels, and also it would be above its 200 EMA here and the 21 EMA on the 4-hour chart. Again, this is the area for us to consider slightly higher levels. We will aim then for the 74.43 zone, or even better for the 74.95 area, which is marked by the high of the 12th of November. Until then, until it's kind of stuck here in between these two lines, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to continue observing this one, because even with the downside, we need to see a drop below the 73.34 level, which is the low of this week, basically. And we need to see a drop below this level before we could examine lower areas here. So keep your eyes on these two guys. USDCAD. Now, I talked about this USDCAD this morning, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this upside support line taken from the low of the 29th of October. We had a nice rebound this morning from it. Yes, that's wonderful. But as you can see, it didn't quite manage to overcome this pivot. So I also talked about this pivot today. This was the level for us to get comfortable with higher levels, and the pair got held below it, and that was the 1.3255 level that managed to keep the pair lower. So now the pair is retracing back down again. It's also again testing this upside line. The big question here is, of course, can the upside line do the same trick again? Can it hold the rate from dropping lower? If it fails to do that, if the upside line breaks, yes, we will start considering lower areas. But in order to get a little bit more comfortable with the downside, a drop below the 1.3212 zone would be needed. So this is the area that we're going to be after which we will consider, let's say, the downside. Until then, until it continues to balance above this upside line, there is still a possibility here for the bulls to jump in and push this one higher. But again, I will repeat myself, we are keeping an eye on this 1.3255 zone, and only after that, only on a break of that we will consider a possible move higher. But just to get a little bit more careful here, push above the 1.3270 zone would do the trick here for more, could do the trick here for more buyers, because this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could aim for the 1.3295 zone. So, and which is marked by the high of the 11th of October. So a very good important level here. A very interesting situation happening here on USD-CAD. Let's see how this is going to play out. But for now, we're going to stay put and not going to do anything. Just going to continue observing this one and wait for a break through one of our key levels. Now, jumping into something that you probably don't look at very often, but this week I looked at US dollar against the Mexican peso, and basically here on Wednesday, when I was looking at this one, we were exploding nicely to the upside. But what I was also saying, that if we stay below, if the pair stays below the 19.49 zone right here, then there is a possibility for this one to maybe to correct a little bit lower. We did have a correction. The pair did try to make did have another attempt to push higher to break this 1949 level, but failed to do that again, and formed somewhat of a double top here. So on a shorter time frame, and you can see that the neckline got broken, and the pair started drifting lower. And what I was saying as well, that in order for us to consider the downside, a drop below the 19.2590 level would be needed in order to consider, like I said, further declines. And this is what happened. So we did get a drop below this. Now there is a good chance the pair could drift a little bit lower here, but the downside could be limited due to this upside support line taken from the low of the 28th of October. So that's why, guys, for now, keep your eyes on that one. Keep your eyes on the on this potential area of support near this upside line. Of course, if this upside line holds, we could see another opportunity here for the bulls to join in, to jump in and push this one higher. For us to start considering, let's say, higher levels, to be honest, ideally we would like to see a push back above this so-called neckline here, near reach this target here. Now the big question here is, can this continue pushing higher? If it can, the next target for us is around the 1.1063. This is going to be around the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and we'll just keep it up until there, because we want to see how this is going to perform around that level. If it wants to travel further north, that's wonderful. We will consider further moves higher, but if it struggles to push above this area, we may see a bit of correction here, or in other words, we actually could see this one coming back down all the way here, maybe back towards the 1.10 zone and slightly above it. Oh, sorry, slightly below it. But for now, from the very short-term perspective, it seems that the pair could drift a little bit higher, but that little bit higher could be held near this 1.1063 level. So keep your eyes on this one. Again, with the downside, still the same area remains for us. The important one here, the 1.0989 drop below this level would, or should I say, would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and more sellers could potentially join in there, and we could see this one drifting further down. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on this one. Again, don't overtrade on this one, because it might just end up being somewhere around here for the end of the week. But yeah, guys, for now, guys, keep your eyes on this one, and let's see how the week is going to end, and we will resume on Monday. So basically, guys, thank you very much for joining in. I do apologize if you did experience any technical issues. We are testing a new system here, a new transmitting system, let's call it that way. So again, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for tuning in. So if you want to join me tomorrow, on Monday morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 7 o'clock GMT time. For now, guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.